ladies and gents, we've got Dean Storer coming up next. I know he's backstage. I've already seen the way that he has come to this event, and he didn't get the Hawaiian shirt memo. He's looking a little fresher than me. He's looking like he's ready to run for senator of whatever state he's from, but he is looking good. He definitely is going to bring the heat today. So I think we just continue to move on. I'm going to give a quick reminder to you guys, please. I look forward to seeing as many of you in Kansas City, Kansas area, which is very close to Kansas City, Missouri. If you guys are good at geography, February 11th through the 13th, go to comechangeyourlife.com. Again, that's comechangeyourlife.com. And we hope to see you guys there. The tickets are $239. That includes 5 meals. Essentially, right now, that is cost of the ticket. We are wanting to make sure that we at least get a predominance of the seats filled with people that were loyal to us this weekend and got to enjoy this great virtual conference, because you guys know what you're getting, because a lot of these speakers are also going to be there in February. So Rhonda's got it right. Continue. Terrence is always great with the hashtags. Hashtag BTBY, becoming the best you. Make sure you put that in all of your posts as you go. If you got a question, whatever, put the hashtag BTBY. Let's get that going out there. But without further ado, I am going to introduce our next cough. That's what I'm going to introduce. Just kidding. I am going to introduce our next speaker. This is going to be a lot of fun, guys. Dean Storer is our next speaker. Dean was labeled as having a reading and learning disability as well as a troublemaker. He was actually called outright stupid. I must say he lived up to those labels for a period of his time on this earth as well. He had a very tough time in school, turning to drugs and alcohol early, destroyed his love of sports. He was in and out of fights in jail. Eventually, this led him to a crossroads, and where at that point he was forced to make a choice. He chose success, and he's never looked back. Dean taught himself to read at the age of 24. Now, years later and much growth, he has found a newfound love for humor and making others laugh. His passion for helping individuals and companies find and develop their own true potential is what makes him special. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing to the virtual stage, Dean Storer.
Hey, can you hear me?
Can hear you great, Dean. You looking fresh. I love it.
Great, thanks.
The floor is yours, my friend.
I start with this always.
Is that-
Thanks, Anthony.
I love it. The floor is, I thought that was a flip phone at first. I was like, oh, where are we going with this? But then I realized harmonica. Dean, the floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. And thank you for Robert sharing his story. That was powerful, and his brother. That's just amazing what people go through, and on the outside we don't even realize a lot of times what people go through. And yes, I came out of a lot of turmoil, a lot of trouble, in and out of courts, in and out of jail. Grew up on the south side of Seattle, riding motorcycles, tough guy, but I was just a scared little kid, is really what I was. And, I really appreciate the opportunity for me to speak today. Thanks for Brenda meeting me on a mastermind group that we did. And from there, here I am. And so I get to gain a lot more friends and family with all the other people that I've seen, and getting to be a part of the event in February, which is going to be awesome to see everybody live there and get to fellowship with them and have a good time. I want to deal real quickly with with results, because over the years I tried to change certain things in my life, and I would read books, and I'd go to seminars, I'd go to workshops, and I did a lot of different things. And I'd pick up nuggets here and there, and I'd pick up pieces of the puzzle and try to put them together. And one of the things that I had a hard time with, like what Anthony was saying, was teaching myself how to read. Well, I could read like on third grade level, and I graduated from high school. I could see Dick run, see Jane fall down, that kind of stuff. And so I taught myself how to read, and that's a whole story in itself. But one of the things that I realized that when I went to go try to write a book, my programming or my memory or my culture or my tradition or the things that I learned in the past from the kids picking on me and that kind of stuff was, who do you think you are? You're going to write a book? Don't you remember? You're stupid. You can't read or write. Don't you remember that? You remember the kids poking fun at you all the time? And so those old programs would come up in my life and really begin to haunt me, if you will, and stop me dead in my tracks. And so I'm going to share something with you on this whiteboard. I'm going to go old school. I have it in slides, but I'm going to do it on the whiteboard. I'm going to show you what changed my life. Absolutely changed the course and the direction of my life, and really, more than anything, began to, one, have a relationship with God that changed everything, and two, that changed the results that I was getting. You know, there's nothing worse than there's nothing worse than getting the same results over and over and over again. And we all know what that means. We've heard it 1,000 times. That's insanity, and it is, because we keep doing the same thing, expecting different results. And so one of the things that I found by this model that I'm going to show you, I realized that I had to go within and change my self-image. I had to change the way I saw myself. See, one of my first coaches and mentors said, you will never outperform your self-image until you learn how to change it. Let me say that again. You will never outperform your self-image. You'll never outperform it until you learn how to change it. How do you change your self-image? I mean, yeah, we can read the scriptures, we can pray, but those programs are locked in there tight. Anytime that I ever stepped forward into doing something that was out of the norm, out of the comfort zone, I always came back to the place where it stopped me dead in my tracks, and it showed me I can't go that way. I can't go in that road. You can't walk down that road. Don't you remember who you are? And it's if you go to the traditions and cultures in your family, think about the three things that you don't talk about at the dinner table, and that's sex, politics, and money. You don't talk about those things, right? Most people don't. So real quick, for sake of time, I'm going to show you this model, and hopefully everybody can see it. Dr. Thurman Fleet in 1934 developed this image. Now, if I ask you to get, we all think in pictures, right? If I ask you to get a picture of your garage, your refrigerator, your backyard, your car, you get an image that pops up into your mind, right? But if I ask you to get an image or a picture of your mind, what pops up? This is what most people pop up as far as the image that they get. It's either blank or it's their brain. And so Dr. Thurman Fleet in 1934 was trying to get his patients from point A to point B. And what happened was he found that it took them forever to get there, to go to point B. And then once they got there, he said 80 to 90% of them would rubber band back to A. Why would they rubber band back to A? Why would they go back to this place that they wanted to leave and move to another level? They went back to this place is because this B was a very strange place to go, because it was uncomfortable, it was unknown, and A was a place that I knew. It was a place that was comfortable. It's like putting on an old pair of sweats or jeans. It's a comfortable place. It doesn't matter what that place was. For a heroin addict, that's a comfortable place, but it's bondage. It's destroying his life. But that's what he knows. To a person that maybe works a job that wants to get out of that job, that's all he knows. He doesn't know how to get to that next level and start his own business maybe. And so what Dr. Thurman Fleet did was he developed an image of the mind, right? Just like most of us get a picture of the mind. What does it say in Romans 12:2? Pamela could probably answer this one by heart. It says in Romans 12:2, it says, don't be conformed to this world. Don't be conformed to your traditions. Don't be conformed to your culture. Don't be conformed to the way people are thinking out there, just kind of falling off the cliffs. He says, don't be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of the mind. How in the world do you get transformed by the renewing of the mind if you don't know what the mind is? Now, if you look up the mind in the Greek or the Hebrew, it simply is this: it's spirit. It's the mind is spirit. It's breath. And so if you think about how God made man, he made him out of the dust of the earth, and then he breathed in his nostrils the breath of life. So we're the mind, right? Have this mind which is also in you, in Christ Jesus. This mind is the spiritual essence of who you are. It's the true person who you are. This here is just a shell. This is just a suit and flesh and bones, and that's all going to rot into the earth one day. The real me is the spiritual me. And so, real quick, I'm hopefully going to get through this. He developed an image. Dr. Thurman Fleet developed an image of the mind, and he called it the stick person. Okay? This is going to represent the body. This is going to represent the mind. The reason that we're going to let this represent the body, and it's so small, is it's because most of our lives we focused in on the physical. We think my hand is solid. It's not. We think this chair that we're sitting is solid. It's really, if I put this up to a microphone, if I put it up to a microscope, right? If I put this up to a microscope, it's a bunch of molecules. If I put it under a more powerful microscope, it's a dance of energy. Everything is an ocean of motion. Everything is deteriorating, right? And so that's why we're going to take our focus off the body, off the physical, and put it on the mind. Here we're going to cut the mind in half: conscious mind, subconscious mind. Okay, I'm going to go pretty quick on this, so you're going to get what sticks, and that's fine. But I guarantee you this: you're going to walk away with one or two really good ideas that will change how you develop your life and overcome those old cultures and traditions and mindsets that don't serve you anymore, but yet we hang on to them. Conscious mind, subconscious mind. This is where we have the ability to think. This is where our free will is. This is where we wish. Nothing really happens here. This is where we sit on the couch and we watch our movies and hoping one day our ship's going to come in, right? We come up with all sorts of ideas. This part of our mind is our feeling mind or our emotional mind. This is where our self-image is. Here, you have the ability to think anything you want. Down here, this part of your mind is conditioned. This is where your fixed habits are. This is where your beliefs are. This is the operating system of your life. And so anytime we go forward, guess what? Your self-image says, no, where are you going? You can't do that. You know what my self-image said? I can't write a book. Don't you remember? And now I've written 3 of them, working on my 4th one. And that's why this module will change your life more than you even realize. When I first saw this thing, I got 5 adult daughters and 8 grandkids, and I took this and I was showing them I didn't even know what I was really doing. I just couldn't believe that I knew something here is kind of magical. It's going to change my life. And I was showing, and they would look at me like, Papa, what are you showing me? Yeah, but I just kept showing them, and pretty soon they got it. They started getting it. Yeah? And so here's the thing. This part is conditioned. This is where our beliefs are, our self-image. So if you take a funnel, right, and at the top of this funnel, you put the word power. Now, there's 3 types of audiences that I have. And one of them, when I ask this word power, what's the power, right? What does that mean to you? To me, it's God, right? To many on this call or this virtual, it is probably God. But I have some that are spiritualists, and they say this power is not God, but it's the spiritualists call it essence. You know, the kind of, and the other one is scientists. They call it energy, right? And so the spiritualists call it spirit or energy also. And so what happens is take this power and figure out what that power is to you, and then think about your idea that you want in your life. What is it that you want? What is that idea that you want in your life, right? Think about what it is. Is it more money? Is it more success? Is it more greater relationships? Is it have a better family? Whatever that idea is, right? Most people focus in on money because it's something that they can measure with, right? And so here, if you use just the word, if you use money, like you're gonna let's say $250,000 you want in your business, okay? I deal with a lot of business people. I've been a coach for a long time, and been trained by some of the best in the world: Bob Proctor, John Maxwell, Paul Martinelli, Les Brown, and the one who did my forward in my book is Bob Proctor, and Chicken Soup for the Soul, Jack Canfield, which was really powerful, and the story all in itself. So when you think of the idea, what you want, you get it there. And then what I want you to do is I want you to ask yourself this question. Why? Why do you want that? Why do you want a greater relationship with your family? Why do you want this money? Why do you want to be a millionaire? Why do you want to have $500,000 in business? Why do you want to start a business? Once you begin to understand and uncover your why, you're uncovering your purpose. When you uncover your purpose, why you're on this planet, every day is a Saturday. It is amazing. But most people are stuck in this part of the mind. It's doing the same thing over and over again. So the big question is why. Once you figure out the why, here's what happens. It comes down into here, and it begins to change this part of our mind, this operating system, right? And so here's a quote that's just really good. Listen to this quote, okay? You will never outperform your self-image until you learn how to change it. And this part of your mind cannot distinguish between what is truth and what is imagined. It just accepts it. And what happens is when it accepts it, you're stupid, you're bright, you're good, you're great, you're nothing, whatever that is, and you accept it. So that's why you have to go up here and act as if you're already in possession of what you want. Act as if you're already in possession of what you want. It begins to change, if you will, the energy. And so what happens is our thoughts create a feeling that sets up a vibration that moves our body into action that produces what we call results. That's what we want. And when I ask people, where do you got to start on this model? Where do you got to start? You got to start here, you got to start here, you got to start here. Salesmen will say this: I got to start in the action. Most salesmen, I got to make more action. I got to make more calls. I got to make more of this. I got to make more of that, right? I got to go to the gym because I'm going to lose weight. I got to go to this and that and everything else because I'm going to lose weight. And so we think if I go to the gym more and exercise more and maybe eat differently, that I'm going to change this thing called weight and I'm going to drop some. That's not true. Yeah. And so we can take all sorts of action, but you got to act as if you're already in possession of what you want. Act as if you're already in possession of what you want. Yeah? So I don't know if you've ever read the book Psycho-Cybernetics. Psycho is just the mind. Cybernetics is just a big word, like your thermostat on the wall is a cybernetic mechanism. When that is set to 72 degrees, and you set that to 72 degrees, and what happens is as you set it to 72 degrees and it's winter time outside, you open up the door, and all of a sudden that cool breeze comes in. There's a message sent through the electrical current to the cybernetic mechanism that the temperature just dropped to 68, it's going to do everything under its power. It's going to turn up the furnace. It's going to do everything else to bring it back up to its objective 72 degrees. Well, do you know a child that is getting a D average in school, and he comes home and his mom looks at his book bag and it's open and there's a wad of paper in there, and she opens it up and it's a test and there's an F on his test, and she says, you know what? No more TV, no more phone, no more girls until you get your grade up. Guess what? He gets his grade up to a B plus. There's a message sent through his nervous system to his self-image, and he just veered off course. At the end of the year, he does everything under his power without even realizing it. At the end of the year, he's a D average student. If you want to change the results in your life, understand this model. It'll blow you away. That's why Jesus said, old things pass away, and behold, all things become new. Think on these things, whatsoever is pure, whatsoever is kind, whatsoever is generous. Think on these things. Don't be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of the mind. So if you're interested, you can go to deanstorecoaching.com, go to my tab on my website, hit contact, and you can put in a 15-minute on my calendar, 15-minute coaching discovery session. And within that 15 minutes, guaranteed, you'll walk away with one idea that'll change your life. So I want to really thank you, Anthony, for introducing me and doing such a great job. I don't know where I'm at on time, so here we are. I know this is live, so I'll just hand it over to you, buddy.
No, Dean, that was phenomenal. I got a couple questions for you. I have a couple messages that have come in for questions, so we'll keep this a little short. Personally, I'm a big fan of the terminology scorch marks. So things that are those singular moments in your life that create that scorch or that burn mark that change your direction. Obviously, you weren't a great reader. You got into trouble. What was the turning point or the scorch marks that you can remember that really shifted your mindset on your life? If you can remember one or two.
Yeah, I think the biggest one is when I was 24 years old. I had a 47 Ford pickup with a homemade camper and my motorcycle and a trailer in the back. And I ended up in Flagstaff, Arizona, where I was out of gas, out of food, and out of money. And I got a hotel. And the hotel was, I didn't have any money, so I bartered with them so I could take a shower and I could walk down the street and get a job. And as I walked down the street to get this job, I walked into a lumber yard in Flagstaff, Arizona. Well, there was 5 Christians there. I had real long hair. I had scars on my face from fights and going through windshields and all sorts of stuff. I was a tough looking guy. I was just angry young kid. And so the foreman was he was a Christian also. And so when he got the applications together, he went back to the 5 Christians. He says, who do you think we should hire? They said, hire that long-haired guy, because they wanted to convert me. So long story short, I ended up going to their church. At first I said, no, time out. I don't speak to you. I don't understand your language. But I did, and it changed my whole life. This tough kid sitting in this church with a whole bunch of young people, all of a sudden they did an altar call, and I started crying like a baby. And I went to the front, I bowed my knee, and it changed my life forever.
I love that. There was another question. This is from Barbara. She says, how do we act on that? And it was how do we act as if you already have what your idea is? Because sometimes when she does that, it gets her in trouble, and I can see that. So what would be your suggestion on how do you act on that concept? Yeah, there you go. How do you act as if you are in possession of what you already want?
Right. That's a great question, because that's the struggling part of people and myself when we want to change new behavior. And so it's not where you say, okay, I want to be rich, so I'm going to go out and buy a Maserati, and I'm going to buy diamonds and rings and go broke. What it means is everybody has a TV, or everybody has a video in their head. Everybody has a book that they wrote, right? And they wrote a book, and it's maybe based on culture or tradition or the past. And they've written this book in their head, and they sometimes get stuck on the same chapter. They get stuck on the same chapter. I can't do this, or the fear is greater. Or why don't you do a start? How about a movie? We watch the same movie sometimes over and over again of ourselves. Anytime we go forward to move forward, we plug in the movie and say, who do you think you are? And you're the second in the movie instead of being the first, being the star of the show. You're not even the director. And so the best way you could do it is write a new chapter. Sit down and begin to write a chapter. Make a new movie in your head. Develop that movie. It's a fantasy. Yeah, it's imagination. Absolutely. And that's one of the 6 intellectual faculties that I deal with is imagination. If you take your will and you hold it with your imagination, so write a new story, develop a new movie.
I like
I don't
that
know if
idea.
that answered your question or not, but
No, it actually answered mine because I coach people as well, and people are like, why am I doing this besides the fact that I'm stuck or I'm unhappy? And ultimately, you're rewriting your story. If you're not happy with where you are, you have to realize that the story has to be rewritten, and it is acting on it. But it's not just blind acting. You're completely rebuilding the story. So I love that answer. Last question for you. You talked a little bit about where to find you. I'll have you repeat it, and also just a little bit more information on your book as well, if we can.
yeah, you can go to Amazon and put in Dean's Store. Make sure you put the R on the end of store, and you can get a book there. You can get an ebook from me, or whatever you want. But if you want a hard copy, you can email me, and I'll do the free shipping, and I can send you hard copies of my book also. Yeah. And the best way to find me is go to deanstorecoaching.com and go on the tab, right? You can read about me on my website there, and go on the tab contact, and that'll drop you right into our calendar, and you can set up a 15-minute coaching discovery session with me.
Excellent. Dean, I haven't got the answer yet. Are you going to be there with us in February?
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, I can't wait to meet you then. I will see you in February. Hopefully, you guys will. ComeChangeYourLife.com. Again, tickets this weekend through the next couple days. $239 as opposed to $399. Make sure you get them. ComeChangeYourLife.com. Dean, thank you so much for being here. I love that your whiteboard looks like John Madden got on there and got into it. And bam, and you go to the right, bam, and then left, and he went bam. But I'm a whiteboard fan, so thank you so much for that. It's much more tactile, and I resonate with it. So thank you so much, Dean.
All right, Anthony. Thank you. Thank everybody. Thanks everybody for putting this thing together, man. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Dean. Take it easy.